Thank you for joining Wars of the Roses, and in this video we'll be continuing the lost word found in the great work Magnum Opus by Dr. J.D. Buck, 32nd degree. The recovery of the lost word. The whole of the teaching of Freemasonry clusters around the existence, nature, and perfectibility of the human soul by personal effort. The first great milepost, the lesson of the first degree, is to set man free from ignorance, superstition, and fear, the demon of the threshold. He is thus, for the first time in his progressive evolution, set free from the debasing influence of all who seek by any means whatsoever to enslave his soul and make him an asset or a chattel of despotism in any form, or under whatsoever name or pretense. At the moment of liberation, when he would utilize the revealed light, he is bound by a stronger tie. He then begins the struggle to subdue his passions, the struggle for self-control, which is to end in self-mastery. He is found worthy to be free, only in the sense and to the degree that he undertakes to control himself, and he voluntarily assumes the obligation and undertakes the work. How far each individual candidate for initiation realizes the meaning and senses the obligation thus assumed is a purely personal question. But among all the institutions known to man at the present day, Freemasonry and the great school back of it are the only ones that undertake with clear intelligence to define man's duty to himself and to his fellow men, and to point out the lines of self-perfection, liberation, and higher evolution by an exact ethical formulary free from all dogmatism, superstition, fear, or any ulterior motive whatsoever. Freemasonry thus stands as an epitome of human wisdom and a man's highest achievement to the present time. It is claimed that good square work along these lines, intelligently apprehended and precisely followed, will result in mastership. No intelligent individual who has made a careful and thoughtful study of the ceremony and dramatic ritual of the lodge, the obligations assumed, the explanations and charge given and accepted, has ever, so far as I know, denied the foregoing statements and conclusions. How far each individual realizes all this and lives up to it is not a matter now under consideration. The intent, the meaning, and the result, when clearly conceived and honestly and precisely followed, are all that I am here claiming. These concern a knowledge of the existence of the human soul, its liberation from an outward slavery, and from an inward slavery of selfishness and all evil passions, and its perfection by personal effort, self-control, equity, justice, and right, brotherly love, relief, and truth. This teaching of the Lodge is ritualistic, dramatic, symbolic, and monitorial. It requires attention, observation, thought, and application on the part of the initiate to realize its constructive results. When these logical and legitimate results are fully realized, that is, earned by persistent application and work, what is the net result? The answer to this question is a master. Let us remember that we are not dealing in compliments. We have assumed that the work is real, seriously undertaken, and precisely followed, and if the results are not substantial, then is the whole thing a farce, a delusion, and a snare, a profanation of holy things, if there be anything holy, a Tantalus worse than that fabled of old? If it were possible for the vain, the selfish, and the mean, in the spirit of vanity, selfishness, and meanness, to achieve spiritual independence and mastership, that fact of itself would constitute a complete justification of vanity, selfishness, and meanness in human life and conduct. If it were possible for the subtle trickster, the clever pretender, the vain boaster, and the moral degenerate to skulk past the law of compensation into the kingdom of spiritual light, then would nature not only condone trickery, pretense, vanity, and immorality, but would become a party to them. If this were possible, then also would be no meaning in honesty, sincerity, humility, and morality. For if nature made no distinction, why should man? The school of natural science has demonstrated through centuries of experiment that there are no tricksters nor moral degenerates within the temple of spiritual light. that there is no subterranean rear entrance, and that all who reach its sanctum sanctorum do so by the way of the front door, and then only after having met and complied with every section and requirement of the law of light. Each individual admitted to its sacred precincts has come of his own free will and accord. He has given the right knock. He has proved beyond all question that he is duly and truly prepared, worthy, and well qualified, and that upon his own merit alone he is entitled to enter and be received in due and ancient form. It is declared herein unequivocally that back of all the symbolic in Freemasonry lies the actual, the real, the substantial, and the true. And that is the real that gives light and the light and meaning to the ideal and the symbolic. That back of and beyond the reputed master, there is the real master. That back of, beyond and antedating speculative masonry by many centuries, there is a practical masonry, of which the speculative is only a hint, a symbol, an outer form. And finally, that back of the substitute, known to speculative masonry, there is the real word, lost only to the speculative, and to be recovered and restored whenever the lodge really passes from refreshment to labor. Restore order from confusion, and find the true designs on the trestle board. By these signs ye shall know him. The trestle board, the signs of the word, the instruction. These are the sole criterion of the master in the one case as in the other. In practical, no less than in speculative masonry. The jewel will be found on the body, and the jewel is light, truth, love, in perfect equilibrium. He who can distinguish light from darkness, truth from falsehood, love from hatred, need be in no doubt nor uncertainty about the jewel of the Grand Master. Nor need he be in any doubt about recovering the true word. When the temple was completed by work according to the designs, he may demand it out of season or deny that it exists at all, if he choose. Yet he can receive it in but one way, viz. By merit and previous proficiency, as all masters have done who have gone this way before. The writer is perfectly well aware that many Masons will repudiate this serious aspect of Freemasonry and pride themselves on their own intelligence while shrugging their shoulders at the credulity of those who take this subject seriously. Thank you for watching, and I'll have part 3 up as soon as possible. Please don't forget to share, like, subscribe, and comment.